unfortunately don't get to fly the flag for a second consecutive week. And we will be joined, I believe, by the full crew. They should be here momentarily. So in the meantime, check this out.
West Cork Beard Company make beard oil and beard balm for a strong, healthy, great-looking beard. Handmade from all natural ingredients in Clonakilty, West Cork. Check out their YouTube channel for beard care tips and advice, or catch them online at westcorkbeardcompany.ie.
So we are live, and it's the dynamic duo starting things off.
You know what? Can I say something? No matter how many times I see that commercial at the beginning, every week, I still hear beer care tits. I don't know if it's his accent, but I hear that every week. It never makes me smile. So,
oh man, I'm really going to open myself up to some Twitter abuse for this one. But I used to mess around with a girl some years ago. That for whatever reason, I can tell you that she did not earn the nickname of Hairy Nipples, but everybody called her Hairy Nipples, and I could not tell you why. I saw them, and they weren't hairy, so I don't know why. Don't know how she got the nickname, unless she shaved them or waxed them, and I never knew.
Yeah,
but they were quite nice, let me tell you. So anyway, moving on. It's we're going to get into talking about how you finished Pornhub. So yeah, Ryan, I don't know if Rowan's going to join us tonight or not. Believe he's still in India, tending to a family matter. Hopefully he will be able to join us. The time difference is, it's a bit much. Yeah. So I think it's early in the morning, for him, like very, very early, like 7:30 in the morning or something like that for him. So there he is. You all showered and fresh for your I don't even know what. Yeah. Oh, Mike. So gentlemen, start with you, Stan. How are you, my friend?
It's a bit chilly here in North Vancouver at the moment, so I've kind of wrapped up warm. There's some a little bit of snow earlier on today.
Yeah, we actually got about 6 inches here last night. So it's pretty much been snowing for the better part of the last 24 hours at this point in Pittsburgh. So, Ryan, how are you, my friend? No fresh injuries, I hope.
It's so funny you say that.
Oh boy, what'd you do?
No, I'm okay. I just
chip a tooth, hang nail.
No. My calf muscle. Just I got a tight calf muscle. I'm fine. But this is funny. You've never asked that. And then the one time I actually kind of.
Yeah, right.
Actually, it's funny. I did it. I actually got into a fight with somebody on the field, and then
nice.
Karma's a bitch. I immediately went to turn and did it I tried to jog away, and then they're like, "Oh, my calf's tight. Cool." So, but yeah, everything's good.
Good, man. Good.
Snow and all.
Yeah. Stan, you wanna shout out everybody in the chat as per protocol?
Yeah, football from Brownie's in there. Margrav's back, stay fresh. Gary Howe, the Gooner podcast, FIFA boy Darren, Danny Shaw's in there doing his bit of moderating. Obviously Gary as well. Don't waste a tweet. I don't think he's in there today. Is he in there? I didn't see him. Lawrence Emmanuel, Tony Turner, and I think that's about it for now. Hope I haven't missed anybody. Thanks for coming in this week and joining us.
Yeah, just real quick before we really dive into
and I just noticed something here.
Go ahead.
We have a new member. Never seen that pop up before. C Law AFC. Welcome.
Awesome. Good stuff.
I didn't know we had memberships.
That's actually the first comment of the night too. So yeah. I know a lot of you guys have your own channel, or you appear on someone else's channel show. If you would like to copy and paste your link into the comments, people should be able to copy and paste that link then in to their browser and can go and subscribe to your channels. But by all means, guys, don't spam the chat, but feel free to do a little self-promotion. Drop your Twitter handle, drop your show in the comments, and everybody make sure you go give those fellas a subscribe. Everybody, for the most part, really does a great job with this. Everybody that does a show. Look, it takes a lot to. I don't want to say courage. It's not necessarily courage, but when you do this, you really open yourself up to a lot of very unfair criticism, I think. So there is a bit of courage involved, I think, in doing this. I don't feel brave doing it. I love the sound of my own voice. That's really the reason I do this. No, I'm kidding. But no, seriously, it does take something, and proud of all you guys that do this for sure. So go ahead and do a little self-promotion tonight. That's what it's all about. So fellas, where do you want to start? Disappointing result over the weekend, or should we just talk about the pun fully intended tug of war at Arsenal? I'm sorry. The title of the show just came. I was like, man, that's kind of clever because it works on so many levels in so many different situations. So I'm pretty proud of myself for the show title tonight. Stan, go ahead.
I'd say we might as well just get that out of the way then, isn't it? That's like kind of like the big news that's been circulating for the last day or so. Is
I mean, what is it to talk about with the Villa game? Is the Villa game really that exciting? Do we need to mention it really? I don't know.
Nah, I mean, I like to recap the games, no matter how shit they. No,
I know. I'm kidding, but you know.
You want to do the game? I don't know. Whatever you want to do.
No, I don't care. I was just saying. I don't. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Shout out to Big Steve. Guns Yell Ribbons, Arse Bros. Steve.
Yeah, the game. Ryan, you didn't catch it. I'm going to throw you on the bus right off the bat.
Hey, there we go.
You didn't catch it. So, and you know what? And you know what? And I can tell you exactly what you missed. That's what you missed.
I hope no Arse Bros listening to this because I actually submitted my 3-2-1s having not seen the game.
Oh, I have to hear this now. If you did that. You didn't see the game. Now I have to hear this.
So, I don't want to say I don't post at all on Reddit, but I'm constantly on Reddit on the Gunners Reddit. Right. So after every game, the community just rates all of them.
Wait, beer of the night, beer of the week.
Yes,
Stan taking a sip reminded me. Stan, you drink the same thing all the time, don't you?
I do. Red Truck IPA.
Did you ever do what I told you to do? Google All Day IPA. The cans look almost identical.
Okay.
Is it a session IPA?
Fuck knows.
What? Oh, because the one I'm talking about is a session IPA, and it's freaking delicious. Anyway, Ryan, go ahead.
So my beer, it's funny. My beer of the week is Cerebus. It's from Labyrinth Brewing. I think it's in Idaho. I don't know. But so a Cerebus is a 3-headed dog that guards the gates of hell. And I kind of, each head kind of like, so you have the whole VAR situation and everything going on. Because, I'm still kind of, don't know how to feel about that. You have the Villa game, which we lost. They scored early, kind of gave them a goal, couldn't get the game. And now we have, I don't know. We have another, I guess it's more of a one-headed monster, but you have another interesting situation with the whole William Saliba thing. And, so yeah, that's my 3-headed monster because I'm slowly, I feel myself slowly walking towards the gates of hell. We and I know it's being very reactionary and we're playing better. And from what I heard, thanks, Tanner. From what I heard we've actually played we didn't play that bad. So I'm not saying, we're getting relegated, Arteta out, all aboard, jump ship, but it's just hasn't been too good. And I think we just kind of like need to find our footing and get back on the right track. And obviously, the Saliba thing breaking out, regardless of anyone's stance, it's not good. It's not a good situation. And also with his comments too, I think that's more of a talking point than the video that got released.
You're all over the place. At this point, if I let you keep going, I'm going to be able to cut you off at the 10-minute mark, and you're not going to have anything else to say because you just covered the game and William Saliba all in the span of 2 minutes.
Well, no, I didn't give my opinion.
Tuning in and good night.
I didn't give my opinion. I just said,
that's it.
I'm describing my 3-headed monster. And
Stan, he did that too. He went game, beer, William Saliba, and like that's
Yeah,
Brian,
well, it's a fuck.
that's tremendous.
My three-headed monster. I had to explain the beer of the week because my beer of the week always means something. I don't just be like, oh yeah, Bud Light, Bud Light IPA. That's my beer.
Wait, do you do that intentionally?
Yes, really? I picked my beer of the week. Come on, man. What is this?
No, man. I thought you picked the beer just based on the taste. I didn't realize you were out looking for beers with
homework. I got homework, baby. I got homework.
Okay, not gonna lie. That's actually pretty cool. I like that you do that. Stan,
you didn't realize I relate my beer of the week to what goes on every week.
I started to realize it the past couple of weeks.
Oh God, we're like 30 podcasts in. He just figured it out. It's all good.
Nobody really pays attention to you,
Fair.
especially me.
I know you don't. Yeah.
Stan, talk to me about Aston Villa over the weekend.
Oh well, it's a disappointment that we weren't able to get to get some more points on the board first and foremost. But it was a bit of a funny one because we didn't get a walloping. I didn't think that we kind of looked all over the place. However, the goal, it was a soft goal, wasn't it? Cedric, he made that pass, and even though he was playing as a left back, he was in the kind of, his body shape looked good. He was in the correct sort of stance to make the pass that he was trying to make. But it was a really lazy pass. He didn't put anything on it, and it was a soft goal for me. It could have been avoided. It was a very soft goal, and you got the excuses of saying, "Oh, the game had just started, players ain't warm." But you should be sharp and warm when the whistle goes. When the whistle goes, it's time to do your job.
Is that? Let me ask a question real quick. Let me interrupt you just based on what you just said. Is that not Mikel Arteta's job to have them ready to go at first whistle at kickoff?
Yeah, you should be ready to go when you're sat in the changing room, right? Before you can come out
chomping at the bit to run out of the tunnel.
You should be in the zone there and then. So it was a pretty soft goal, but the other disappointing thing is for that particular game is that we didn't look to have any bite.
Yeah.
At the attacking part of our play. There was a couple of chances. There was the Nicolas Pepe chance, but we just didn't look like we had. Yeah, it was very close. But other than that, really, we just really didn't seem to have a lot of bite going on in the attack. And, even when we brought on Aubameyang, again, for me, I know he's had a lot going on, but he just really didn't look at it at all, Aubameyang. He doesn't look like a guy who's looking ready to lead the line just yet. So, Again, it's probably going to throw a little bit more of a selection puzzle for Mikel Arteta if Aubameyang's not ready to come back and what he's going to do. And again, we just saw again, how ineffectual that Willian is. And it doesn't seem to matter whether he starts games or comes off the bench. He does not seem capable to offer us anything. You would think, okay, we're bringing him off the bench and legs are tired. Maybe he can do something. He's going to be pretty fresh. But again, there doesn't seem to be any end product from Willian at all. So disappointing. I'm very disappointed we didn't come and get any points because we looked like we were just kicking on, right? We were just putting a run together. People were talking about, look, we're only at X amount of points from the Champions League place, and it seems to be just edging away again. Yeah,
it really now. Well, I mean, Leeds notwithstanding, I mean, they're a good team, and they want to score. But I think the run of matches where we were like, yeah, this is where we really need to be getting our points from. Basically, we were looking at it from Brighton to Leeds. But we started with Chelsea a match before Brighton. Disappointed to not get anything out of this, get 1 point against United in a home draw. And after Leeds, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but after Leeds, we've got Manchester City, we've got Leicester City coming up in the league, and it is not going to get any easier from here on out to try and accumulate points. So, Ryan, forgive me because I'm going to stick with Stan on this one.
That's fine.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Just sit there and look pretty. How about that?
It's hard.
Stan, did we look tired?
Lethargic. Do you know what I mean? Which is in a different way of when it's kind of like you're just tired for this the sake of being tired, not because you're physically tired because you've been up all night running around or whatever. It just kind of looked a little bit lackadaisical. And I think Cedric's pass, was quite typical of a very lackadaisical sort of pass that he made, which gave the goal away.
Yeah.
And there's the officiating. There's also the officiating side of things, but I'm always one for we shouldn't let the officials try to ruin the game. If they cost us a penalty, for example, then it's up to us to roll our sleeves back and get a goal back. I don't want our results to be left in the laps of the officials.
Yeah. That's any good coach in any sport is going to tell his team to take the official out of it. Don't give the official or the referee, don't give them a chance to have a negative impact on the game, because chances are if they get involved, the impact isn't going to be positive. So,
I mean, the officiating is so poor at the moment, and so inconsistent.
Yep.
As well, I think it's probably the inconsistency which is the worst part. You see something happen in one of our games, and then you'll see something in a game the next day, and it's just it's equal or even worse than the situation that we have, and you see nothing happens. And I'm not one of those that believes that in conspiracy theories. I think it's happened to a lot of teams this season, but the biggest problem with the officiating for me is that you've got active referees making those decisions about their colleagues on the pitch.
Right.
And it kind of, it's a conflict of interest, right? As I see it, I think that the people that they should have sat in that caravan up at Stockley Park looking at the screens should be ex-officials who are brought in to do that job. They don't officiate on a Saturday or a Sunday. They're ex-officials, and they're paid now to go up to Stockley and do that job, and have them to be totally segregated from the current officials as well. They've got nothing to do with them. They don't mix with them. They don't have them on speed dial. They go there, they do their job, and it's contained. And that would make me feel a little bit better, as opposed to knowing that, well, one week it'll be Mike Dean officiating over Pawson, and then the following week it could be Pawson sat in there officiating over Mike Dean,
Right. And all of a sudden, you don't want to show up your colleague. So, you don't want to make them look silly or, call them out for a poor decision. So it's very much like, and again, everybody gives me grief about this, but it is a North American show. But the NHL in North America, the National Hockey League, has exactly what Stan is talking about. They have what they call the War Room in Toronto, where they have eyes on every game being played on a given night. And they review every goal. They review not every offside, but if a goal is scored and offside is a possibility, they go back and they look at it. But what the NHL does in this situation, and for any hockey fans that there might be in the chat, probably very few. I know Mike from the Gooners pod can attest to this because he is a hockey fan. But what hockey referees will do is they will skate over. They have a monitor. I think it's like an iPad or something. But they have a monitor that they can actually look at, and they put on a set of headphones, and they're actually in communication with the War Room in Toronto, where they have a conversation. Well, what did you see? Okay, well, what are you seeing? Okay, well, we're seeing it this way. Okay, how about this angle? Hey, do me a favor, rewind that, show me the other angle. Things like that, So there's something to be taken there. The NFL sort of does the same thing, where there's a replay official back in New York. The lead official in an NFL game, if there's a challenge, will go over to a monitor. He'll look. He's in communication. It just seems like there's a lack of communication with officiating and Stockley Park. And like you said, it's conflict of interest. You don't want to show up your colleague. And I think it's absolute. I think I'm using this word the right way. I think it's absolute bollocks. Did I use that right?
Yeah, you're perfect, mate. Spot on, bang on. And the other thing is as well is this medieval rule that, referees are this like forbidden fruit. They can't come out after a game and talk about their decisions. A manager after a game is not allowed to basically say that he feels that the referee had a shit one. I don't understand it. It's so draconian, so medieval. Why are these people not held accountable? It's like they're whisked to the game. They referee, and then they're sort of like whisked away in a coach, never to be seen again until the following week. It's bullshit. You know, they should be held accountable. You know, when they make these mistakes, there's a lot at stake for some clubs. This could be a relegation point, or it could mean not getting into a European competition. Things like this, they should be held accountable, and I don't see why you can't talk about them after the game. You know, all of this bringing the game into disrepute. It's so old, so medieval.
To your point, let's go back to last year during the restart, and Aston. I know it was Villa, and I think it was Sheffield. And I think Sheffield scored a goal that they waved off. Or no. They waved off a goal that Sheffield had scored, and the game ended in a draw, which gave Villa the point they needed to stay in the Premier League. But that goal should have counted. And then I think that actually relegated Bournemouth. I think Villa take that point away. I think Villa go back down. Bournemouth stay up. I think there you go. That's an incredibly recent example of how not only poor officiating, but the VAR thing, and people have been saying this. I don't know if you've seen my tweets on it or not. Everybody's complaining about VAR. It's not VAR. The technology works. It's the human interpretation of what they're watching. That's the problem. So I don't know where Ryan is. I don't know if he wants to jump in on this conversation.
And the other thing is as well, what's the point in having all of this technology when they never go to the screen, hardly ever? They should be going to the side of the pitch and taking a look.
I've seen it maybe 3 times.
And say, well, you know what? Wow, now that I've had another look, I got that one wrong.
Yeah, they did it. When did it was? I can't remember who we played. Who'd we play when Emile Smith Rowe got the red card and then it was rescinded after the ref looked at it was before United. I almost said United, but it was before United. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm talking about. Was it Newcastle? There you go. When the referee came out, he gave him the red. He went and he looked at the monitor. He came back, waved it off. I think he did give him a yellow, but he rescinded the red. So VAR itself is not the problem. The problem with VAR, Ryan, debate me if you disagree with me, but to me, the problem with VAR, again, like I said, is the human interpretation of what they're watching.
Yes. My biggest problem with VAR, I guess, kind of sort of related to that, but my biggest problem is you have refs controlling VAR, and you have a ref on the field, and the refs in the room don't want to overstep the ref on the field, because the ref on the field could be VAR for one of the refs. The ref on the field could be in VAR for one of their games, and you'd be like, "Oh, well, it's like
Stan said.
Well, I'm going to make him look at it. It's the little boys club. They don't want to scooch each other over. They look out for each other. They look out for their own, and I think it's a big problem. And I think something needs to change. I like the war room idea that the NHL does. I know you said that because I was listening. We just need like a third party to come in and be VAR. We can't have refs in the Premier League be VAR because they're never going to step, over each other. Because these refs aren't good. Let's face it. They haven't been in. When was the last time we had an English ref in a World Cup or a Euro? Well, Euro they might have been, but World Cup it's been a while. But it's just it's tough because you don't see, because then you almost have to look to the FA and be like, oh, the FA has to do something about this. Well, they're not going to do anything. They're probably less likely to do anything than the actual refs and VAR themselves. So it's a problem that's going to keep probably persisting until VAR just goes away completely, I think.
This is interesting from Rahul. Like cricket, the communication should be made available for everyone. So I don't really know much about cricket. I don't really watch it, but I'm taking this to mean that if there's some sort of challenge or I'll say a difference of opinion between perhaps an on-field official and an off-field official, that there's communication, but oh, by the way, that communication is broadcast. If I'm understanding that correctly, which I actually love that idea. Back to Stan's point about the accountability thing. You see this and to relate it again to an American sport, baseball. I know, Ryan, you hate baseball, but if you go to a baseball game, If you go to a baseball game, you'll never see a replay where the play is close, ever, because MLB, Major League Baseball, it is a rule within Major League Baseball that they cannot do anything to undermine the authority of the umpires on the field. You will never see a close play where it could have been right or wrong. And there was actually a play some years ago where a pitcher lost a perfect game on the last out of the game because the umpire, blatantly incorrectly called a runner safe at first base, and it wasn't close. Like, this was not a close play. It wasn't bang, bang, ball touching glove, foot hitting bag. It was blatantly obvious that this call was wrong. And that pitcher missed out on a perfect game, and that's a rarity in baseball. So I want to bring in let me bring in a super chat here from Stay Fresh. And thank you very much for the kind donation. Friend Odd subs, not pulling Emil Smith-Rowe, Saka at left back, panic sub on Laka, Aba down the middle, Pepe back to being self-centered, Willian all must fix up. I was actually kind of a nice little segue. We can circle back on VAR, but Stan, I was pretty disappointed with the subs against Villa. I don't know what your take is, but I'll agree with Stay Fresh on this. The subs kind of left me scratching my head a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm glad he left ASR on now. I'm glad it wasn't, he wasn't pulled like for like with Odegaard. I quite liked that he managed to keep them into the same team. But yeah, some of the others were a little bit puzzling. But, this isn't the first time that I found Mikel Arteta's substitutions or even the timings of when he chooses to play those cards a little bit puzzling.
Yeah, I actually disagree. I think ESR was pretty tired. I think he was dead on his feet for a while, even going back into the first half. Aubameyang, I just don't get that sub at all. I really just don't. But yeah, I think he got the subs wrong on it. That's just me. So
to be fair, that's probably Arteta's Achilles heel. I mean, if you look back, don't even look at this game. You look at it. I think in the game before this, his subs were when we went down 9 men against Wolves. I think his subs were not good.
Yeah, he took off Lacazette for Gabriel.
Bringing off Pepe when he was probably one of our better players. He's got a wonder goal. I feel like he was just. I think him bringing Aubameyang on, he just kind of the game's lost. Let's bring Aubameyang on. Let's get him minutes. Let's ease him back in. But I think that's just been his thing. In my opinion, that's my biggest thing that I look at, in kind of assessing Arteta. I just think his subs are just not the best. And we've all seen this. He second guesses himself. He'll have a player ready to go on. Next thing you know, someone else is coming on.
Change it up.
What's going on?
Change his
mind. I think that's something that he needs to work on. Granted, I think, our bench isn't as deep as people think it is. I don't think we have the players that people think we do. And it's usually the same players that are letting us down time after time. Aubameyang's probably sooner, not normally, but this season he's done it a lot. You have somebody, like Willian, constant, Luis, constant, Jock is playing better, but he was one of those guys too. But I think you just kind of need to bring in better people, maybe trust the youth a little more. We've had this discussion at length since death, but it just comes down to the same people just letting him down, the same people letting the team down, and obviously his questionable subs, which has again been a thing. Hopefully, he's new. We're giving him time. We'll see if he can improve it with better players.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it on the Aston Villa game. Don't really know what else to say about it. It just, like Stan said, not a bad performance. Just, we couldn't finish in the final third. The mistake, that's a goal that you look at and you say, okay, that's not the other team playing well. That's us giving up a goal.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stan. I feel like you got.
No, I'm just agreeing with you, mate.
Okay.
Also, too, I will say, obviously, having watched the game, I could probably just venture on how Villa played. I don't think Arsenal anticipated Villa to score right away. And Villa don't sit back, play low block. Mings is someone who's he's like a deep lying center back, and he's just known to be rough and head balls away. But I don't even think Aston Villa thought they were going to score right away. So I think throwing that into the mix and having us to fight pretty much from the jump. I mean, having 90 minutes where we have to score. I think that was something that both teams didn't anticipate. But I mean, again, Villa was up 1-0, so obviously we had to put more of the work in than Villa did. So I think that's also something that kind of threw Arteta off. So yeah.
So I'm just laughing at Lawrence in the chat box is literally screaming at us, Mike Dean, Mike Dean. Okay, he wants us to touch on the Mike Dean thing, and I'll be very, very quick. Right? I don't like Mike Dean, never have done. He's up there with the Mike Rileys of this world, pieces of shit, the both of them. However, do you know what I mean? We're talking about refereeing a football match, so I don't understand why anyone would waste their time sending in death threats. Even if they don't intend acting on them, I don't understand it. And it just seems that people get death threats for anything. Do you know what I mean? Your dog does a shit in your next door neighbour's garden, you get death threats. It just seems it's just a way to bang something out on the keyboard. Bullshit. The people sending them are never going to act on them.
But
it doesn't mean that I condone it or anything like that.
I was just going to kind of like Mike dropped a really interesting question, and I was going to that was going to be my 2 cents. I 100% don't condone it. You know, it's something
nobody does.
It's terrible. But then you have to look at it and you'd be like, well, these refs don't hold themselves accountable. That, you know, do they see what goes on? I don't expect Mike Dean to be rolling through Twitter every time he refs a game and to see who's talking about him. You know, Mike Dean's the kind of guy that probably does do that. But take any ref, you know. And I just you kind of want these refs to be like, yeah, I know I fucked up. I missed this, or he'll double down and be like, it wasn't a penalty because of this, that, and the other thing, you know. And people have said this on Twitter. People have said this, I think, even on our podcast. Maybe, I don't even know, in the comments. Why don't the referees get interviewed after the game? Why is it just the players? Why is it just the managers? The rest should be. If they have to make a tough call, you know, I think that they should be interviewed. I mean, there's lots of times where refs make tough calls, or even VAR changes calls regardless, and it's the right call, and it could save a game. It could be the right result. It could be the, you know, because listen, VAR doesn't work. VAR screws games up probably 9 times out of 10. All right, well, yeah, you go. But the point is I think these refs need to be accountable. I think VAR needs to be accountable, and I would never go to such lengths. And I do not condone such lengths. But you get to a point where it's like, well, okay, do you understand where these people are coming from? Yeah, I didn't want to get to that far, but it's like when you're yelling at like a significant other, and you're like, I didn't want to yell at you, but you're not listening to me.
You're not listening to me.
Yeah, so it's
Linda,
because it's very, very tough. But I feel bad because Mike Dean removed himself from the games this weekend. He doesn't want to partake in reffing, and I don't think that's fair.
Let me ask a question.
Go.
Let me ask a question. Stan, I'm going to come to you first. On the idea of the referees giving interviews after the game.
Yeah.
I think one thing I've heard, and I agree with, is that the referees try to make it about them. They want to take the spotlight. If I'm going to take this to the other side of the fence now, if we give them the opportunity in an interview, does that not boost their ego? Does it almost condone the poor behavior?
I don't know. I'm a little bit like, if they want the spotlight, then let's fucking shine it on them and see how they fucking like it. Do you know what I mean? Let's really put them under the spotlight, and they'll be like rabbits in headlights. Do you know what I mean?
Boy, I like the attitude here.
Especially with some of the decisions, some of the bollocks decisions that they make, man, they should be able to be pulled in front of a camera straight after the game, just like a manager is, just like a player is, have a microphone shoved in their face and be asked about the decision. Why did you make this decision? Why did you not go and have a look at the screen at the side? What were they saying to you in your ear? Do you know what I mean? Ask them the difficult questions. It may make them think twice about the job that they're doing, and it might make them, apply themselves a little bit more to the job that they're doing. So I'm all for it. Give them the fucking spotlight. Let's shine it on them.
Yeah, Ryan, what do you think?
I think it's just it's a balance, because at the end of the day, when you look at it, you know, it's two teams playing football, and it should be about the two teams playing football. A ref shouldn't have to be in the headlines. You know, the headline should always be, you know, Arsenal defeats Man United, or Arsenal defeats Tottenham, or something like that. You know, the headline shouldn't be like, oh, Mike Dean makes a crazy call or the ref should never be mentioned in the headline, in the article, or wherever you get your information from. Yeah, there you go. But
Daniel Shaw, comment of the night so
far. That's the thing though. Sometimes there are calls that not everybody's going to agree with. There are always going to be calls.
It really is a thankless job.
Yeah. There are always going to be calls that, divide people, whether you're biased, not biased, rooting for the teams or not. It's how it's human interpretation, and it's never the same. Not everybody sees the world the same way. So it's very tough. But I mean, the one thing I can say with absolute fact and certainty there are always interesting calls in games. There's always going to be tough calls going one way or another. And, if there is, they should be able to explain themselves. Because it's tough because we could, and I'll even go back to our chat earlier today. Me and Tanner had an interesting talk. I didn't agree with them, but I was like, or Tanner and Stan were going at it. And then Stan explained himself, and Tanner's like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah."
And we'll get into it.
Yeah, I don't want to. But I think that's just like sometimes. You just need an explanation. You're like, oh, okay, like I didn't see it that way, but fine, cool, wonderful. So yeah, I agree with Stan. I think these refs need to see how they feel with the light dimly lit on them. I don't want to say shined on them, but definitely.
I kind of wanted to play devil's advocate with that question because I do keep hearing that the referees try to make it about them. So, but I like Stan right off the bat. Oh, cool. They want the light on them. Let's shine it on the fuckers. Let's go. I like that. I like the attitude.
Because let's face the facts. We follow, we support, and we follow Arsenal or whatever team in the chat you guys support and follow. If it's not Arsenal, wonderful. But like we know the refs, we know their names. Like we know who I could. If you show me a picture of Mike Dean, I'm gonna know. Oh, it's Mike Dean. Yeah. You show me certain refs, so it's a thankless job, and you don't want to go. You don't want to get noticed, but it's just not gonna happen. Not in a sport of this magnitude with so much riding on the line.
So it was kind of a nice segue there into the world of current events with Arsenal, and boy, we can't get through 1 week without something popping off with this club. So let's start with the interviews with William Saliba. Now, from what I've read, I don't personally have that big of an issue with the interviews. I don't think he said anything that everybody who follow this football club don't already know. I don't really think he threw Arteta under the bus. The worst thing I think I saw him say was he only got, 2.5 games to try and show what he could do or something like that. But this kid's not doing himself any favors. Let's face facts with some of these interviews that he's doing. Right, Stan?
Well, let's talk about the comments then. First of all, you want to go in on that angle. I'm not really that bothered about it because I think he's been treated appallingly, personally, and maybe he's got a bit of bite about him. He's a young lad, and he's not worldly yet, but he's obviously pissed off. And I'm not being funny. The way that he's been managed, in my opinion, has been really piss poor. And if I was in his position, I'd be kind of pissed off and all. I mean, let's look at it, right? We paid 30 million for this guy, right? It's almost into his second season as an Arsenal player, and he's not kicked a ball in anger for us yet. All right? There was all that hoo-ha about him not being able to play in the French Cup. Oh no, we can't let him do that. Blah blah blah. We bring him back to the UK, and then within 5 minutes of him coming back to the UK, we're then talking about him going back to the club which we got him from. I didn't just stay there and play the French Cup. That's a bit of goodwill, So you got all of that, and then he had all of the personal problems. He had a death in the family, and I actually think that was handled terribly as well. And I remember we discussed it at the time, and I was of the opinion that he's now part of the Arsenal family. What they should have done is they said, you know what, go home for a couple of months and grieve, right? Spend some time with your family, forget about football, and then we'll bring you back in. We'll make sure that you're registered in the correct teams, but we'll start you off in the cups. Stuff like that, ease you in so that you can acclimatise. But for right now, Forget kicking the ball. Go home and grieve. And when you're ready, come back to the family. Come back to your football family. Instead of sitting there and holding meetings and going, well, should we send him on loan here? Should we send him on loan there? Should we send him somewhere in the north of England? Guy can't even speak English. Hasn't even been in England for 5 minutes, and they want to send him up north. It's fucking grim up north, mate. Let me tell you. Why would you want to do that to anyone? Do you know what I mean? Send them up to like Grimsby or somewhere like that. So I can understand that he's in an interview. And what did he say that was really bad? That he doesn't think that the manager has had an opportunity to really see what he can do because he's only played 2.5 games. Well, he's not made that up. That's how many games he's played.
Right.
No, he's only had a couple of training sessions as well. So I get it. I would probably be a little bit like that if I was in his position, thinking like, all this fucking about. I've been at Arsenal like 2 seasons now, coming up for 2 seasons. They've invested a lot of money to get me. I mean, if you think about it, right, him and Nicola Pepe, that's £102 million investment on those 2 players. And both of them, you know, aren't really setting the world alight for Arsenal at the minute. So, I mean, is this all down to the dealings of the one that don't work for us anymore with Raul? I mean, is William Saliba not worth 30 million? I don't know. I never used to watch him at his team in France. Have we had our pants pulled down? And Mikel Arteta's like, Jesus, this guy's like a 10 million, you know, player at best in the Championship. But I don't think so, because the reports about him are really good. There were a lot of teams sniffing around him when we went in for him. And the reports are that he's played a lot of games now since he's been back in France, and he's looking the business. He's looking a really big, sturdy centre-back with leadership qualities as well.
He was Nice's player of the month, I think, wasn't he?
But there you go. So I don't get what the problem is. And I've got quite a bit to say as well about the other subject, but we're not going to get onto that yet. But
yeah, we're coming to that one. We're saving the best for last.
Regarding his comments, it's not ideal, right? But another way of looking at it, were his comments any worse than the manager of our football club, with what he said about Nicola Pepe, where some people said that he threw Pepe under the bus? So nobody's perfect, right?
Right. Yeah. Ryan, back to the loan situation with Saliba, and like Stan was said, you know, having meetings like, should we send him here? Should we send him there? Should we, you know, what would you say? Send him up to Grimsby Town. Did we get it wrong with not sending him out on loan at the beginning of the season?
I honestly keep going back and forth with this entire situation. I don't agree with Stan. I don't think we up until the loan to Nice, I don't think we handled it poorly, because frankly, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know, because frankly, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, you know, both of his parents passing away and, you know, and everything. And that could take a toll on someone, especially when you're in a different country and really nothing you could do about it. And this is a big step. And I think, you know, making a big move to a big club and a big league, and I'll say, yeah, it's a bigger league, better league. You're that young, you're going to want your parents to lean on a little bit. You're going to need that care and that kind of motivation, I guess. So it must have been tough. I think we tried to shelter him. I think we tried to, you know, don't worry about it. You're going to be okay. We don't want to throw you into the wolves just yet. But I don't know, because I watched him play for the U23s, and I didn't think he was all that good. He was all right. He's still a little raw. He made very rash decisions that I didn't really agree with or I didn't really like. Now, granted, again, here's where I flip-flop. He could have played against Dundalk. He could have played against Mold in Vienna. Like, I don't understand why he wasn't on the bench at least. You know, that didn't make sense to me. And then, you know, going to the loan, I think, okay, if we don't plan on playing him, like if Arteta doesn't see him in the cards, which I could sort of agree with, because when I saw him play, I wasn't really convinced. But I don't get sending him to a French team. To me, it doesn't make sense, because, you know, we hindered his growth by not playing him. Playing with the U23s doesn't really help that much. But then, you know, he needs to learn the language. He needs to settle down in England and get his bearings about him and kind of, you know, get used to the culture, the climate, and you're gonna send him to, like, if we loaned him out to an English club, I'd be like, no, I like the move. It's a good move. But you're gonna send him back to France after exactly what Stan said. we were complaining like, oh, you can't play the French Cup. We need him, this, that, and the other thing. And then it's like, we need him to, I'm thinking of a word and I can't find it. It's going to assimilate. Assimilate. He needs to assimilate to the English culture and everything. And sending him back to France just doesn't do him any favors, and it doesn't do us any favors. With that being said, I do not like the quotes he did. I mean, maybe I don't know. I didn't read the article, so you guys can tune me out. But from what I read, in the internet, because it's always reliable. I don't know. The way I am is, if I'm loaned to Nice, I'm going to focus on Nice. I'm going to focus on the French club. I'm not going to talk about I'm not going to talk about my parent club. I'm not concerned with what they're doing at Arsenal. Yeah, you're going to roof them. Yeah, you're going to wish good luck and good things and all that. But his focus should be on Nice and winning the French league and winning things with them. I don't know whave to bring Arsenal up. Granted, he's probably asked about it, so it is what it is. But he, at that point, needs to be almost like a political, have the political answers. Like, oh yeah, I have nothing best, and so it's tough. But in the back of your head, fuck Arsenal. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna work my tail off, and I'm gonna show everybody at the Arsenal Football Club that I'm gonna be the starting center back in next year or 2 years. And you work your whole life. Actions speak louder than words. So again, I was all over the place with this, and I still really don't know how I feel about it. I just hope something could come of it, whether we get a big fee for him or he actually plays for us.
So on to the I don't know, what do we want to call this, boys? A dangling participle? It wasn't really dangling, though, was it?
The French missile crisis? I don't know.
Yeah, the French missile crisis. There you go. Kind of like that. All right. So I saw it last night. I was on Twitter. I'm scrolling through Twitter, and I just keep seeing everything about William Saliba. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I haven't seen a video. Have not seen any quotes or anything like that. I just like, what the hell's going on? What happened here? There's a video. Like, did he punch a baby or something? And no, he didn't punch a baby. As it turns out, he just simply.
It turned out his teammate was punching a baby.
Oh, my Lord. So I saw the video. And if you haven't seen the video, just search it. It's got to be out there somewhere.
I'm not seeing it.
I think Stan actually saw it on Pornhub, so I think that's how he.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Stan, looks like you got some more work to do. So the baby punching.
I must have missed that side mission.
But yeah, I just skipped that one. You don't get anything for it anyway. It's just like
points.
Just busy. It's just busy work. So there's a video, and I'm not going to describe it. You've seen it. You know what I'm talking about. I came down pretty hard on William Saliba last night. Get him out of here. He's done. Just cut your ties. Sever all ties with him. Get his name off everything Arsenal, whole 9 yards. I was done. I saw the video and I just saw red. I'm like, this is ridiculous. What on earth is he thinking about?
It's team bonding. Come on.
And Stan? Yeah, team bonding. Dude, he was seriously like he's in the splash zone. He's in the line of fire there. Like, did he bring a tarp? Like, he's gonna need something. I mean, listen, I mean, it's not for everybody. I would not be like, I would have looked over at that dude and been like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? First of all, go put some freaking clothes on. What are you doing?
To be fair though, it's not like he just like all of a sudden you turn around and your friend's butt ass naked. He had to have took clothes off, and obviously if he did that, the guys around him obviously saw that happen. Like, oh, this dude's taking I can't set the scene because I don't know if they walked in on him and he's like, oh, come hang out, guys. And I was like, all right, yeah, cool. Whatever.
Yeah,
or what?
But just gonna pull him a wang over here for a minute.
It's not like he surprised everybody and was talking, shooting the shit the next minute, and then butt ass naked actually shooting the shit. Looking at his phone. So it's.
So I
want to know, but I don't want to know how.
So I put in our chat on Twitter, our private chat on Twitter. I don't even remember what I put up. I think I put up something like William Saliba. And Stan, you responded with you didn't think it was that bad, and you gave me some words of wisdom. I'll let you take over from here.
Before I get to that bit, just on this William Saliba thing, right? First of all, I've not seen the video. I've read all the bits on Twitter about it, so I get what's going on. And I think that the first thing is that the only reason that this William Saliba is really doing the rounds are twofold. The first one is the obvious one, right? We have rivals, and if there's any news where our players have been up to something or involved in something, it's going to be used as banter and as a bit of a laugh and as a joke for our rivals to get back at us and take the piss. I get that. But the other reason I think that this is really being talked about a lot is this is really being used as some kind of a standard by the Arteta-ins. Now, when I say the Arteta-ins, I'm not talking about the people like myself who, they want Mikel Arteta to succeed because he's the Arsenal manager and we don't want to go for a revolving door of managers. So we back the manager. We want him to do well. I'm talking about the ones where if you try to criticise or critique any failings you may see by the manager, by Mikel Arteta, whether it's late substitutions, dodgy lineups, you are automatically labelled as a hater and toxic and all that other bullshit labels that they like to come at you at. And as I've always said, backing the manager, but also being able to critique his failings, do not have to be mutually exclusive. They can coexist, right? So they're the two reasons why I think this is being made a lot of news. And I'll tell you why. It's a storm in a teacup, right? First of all, the video was taken when I think the lad was 16 years old. He's a child.
16, right? 16, 17, yeah,
he's
something like
a
that.
child, right? And I don't know what the setting was. I don't know if it was in a changing room or a public place or what have you. But lads together can be a little bit boisterous. Now, if it was William Saliba in the video having a fucking J Alpha, then I would be concerned about it. But someone in his presence is doing it. All he's done is taken the video. All William Saliba has done is filmed it, probably having a bit of a giggle and probably like, what the fuck are you doing, man? And everybody wants to run him out of the club. And I will say this. When Tony Adams got sent to prison for drink driving, and when Paul Merson was marched out at a press conference next to George Graham and sat down next to him, sobbing his eyes out, and he admitted that he was addicted to gambling, cocaine, and alcoholism, the club stood by both of them. So what I'm having trouble understanding is why can't a young, naive player who we've invested a lot of money in, why can't we afford him the same for his transgressions as we did to Tony Adams, who served time and went to prison, and for Paul Merson? And if you're going to come at me and say, well, Merson and Adams have got medals, but they're also fully grown men and should know better and should be setting an example to themselves, their families, the clubs and the fans. We're talking about a young man who's horsing around who was filming it. I mean, so much so that I haven't even heard the name of the guy that was having the J Alpha.
No clue.
I was actually going to ask who it was. I'm curious who it is.
Shouldn't we be hearing about that guy? Shouldn't that be the story here, that this footballer was sat there having a Tommy Tank in front of a load of his mates? Yet somehow, because it's involving William Saliba, who's an Arsenal player, that's the focus. Because he's an Arsenal player, that's the focus.
All right. First of all, here's what I need to do. I need you, every time you say something, Stan, I need you to reference it a different way. Because I've heard we've had a J Hoffa, and a Tommy the Tank, or a Thomas Tank or something.
Tank, yeah.
So every time you reference it, it's got to be something new now.
Okay, I can do that.
I'm just dying over here.
I was going to say,
as I was saying, it wasn't William Saliba that was having the 5-knuckle shuffle.
Ooh. Yeah, and also, to be fair, too, there was, what was it, 2 other players behind on the other side?
Oh, Stan missed it.
Yeah. There was more people in that room other than Saliba and the player in question. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting. And something that I think it does need to be explained He plays it. Okay. I think it needs to be, he needs to come out and say something. Again, I think to me, I see it as like a blip on the radar. Obviously, his decision making wasn't the best doing that, but I mean, Stan hit the nail on the head, and he said I couldn't say any perfect. I think bringing that up, comparing the situations, this is nothing, and I do think he needs to maybe, I don't know, not talk to someone, but the situation. I watched the video, and I just have so many questions, and it's not good. But it's not that bad. I don't think it's anything we need to really worry about. Although he was biting his bottom lip, that was interesting. But you could like nitpick every millisecond of the video, and it's just like, why would this be a good idea? And even to the players, not even Salib who's filming, even the players who are on their phones, just watching this all happen. It's like a lot, and you can't single Salib out. And the only reason why I think we do single him out is because he's our player. But I think a lot of questions have to be asked from all the players. But I will say the question that was finally answered for me was, I finally know what Chig was watching when he was on the podcast with Lee Gunner. Makes sense.
See, I actually think that the Guendouzi situation,
well done,
why he's no longer a part of the squad, and the way that his attitude was towards the manager and the coaching staff, I think that's a far worse crime than what William Saliba has done. As I say, all he's done is film it around the lads. If it was him, then fair enough. I'd be like, what's that all about? That's not a good look. That is really bad. That's a bad look. Do you know what I mean? But
I think it's a bad look regardless, though. Like, he could have been helping him for all. Anything could have happened. He could have been helping him. He could have been and like, it's a bad look. Period. But I completely agree with you, Stan. I think it's it's something that doesn't need to be blown up and shown on Times Square.
I do think the main thing is just that Arteta ends, and I've heard him saying, you see, he knew. He was right. He knew he was right that he was this and that. And it's like, I'll give it a rest, man. Do you know what I mean? Give it a rest. There doesn't have to be this great divide. Some people are happy with Mikel Arteta. Some people aren't. Some people want him to succeed just because he's the Arsenal manager. And I don't want a revolving door of managers. Can't we just all coexist as one? Do you know what I mean? Why does there have to be? Do you know what I mean? That Arteta in, Arteta out, and it's all like, never the twain shall meet. It's bullshit.
So,
it's bullshit. And as I said before, and it's something that Dan Potts was talking about just the other week, and I was like messaging into the chat box because he was so right. This part of the fan base where if you single out a player in a game that's done something wrong, then you're what's wrong with the fan club. The way that you talk about, it's like, I never called the player a shitbag, and I didn't at him in the comments. I critiqued him before maybe having a poor game, letting a goal in, not taking chances. You can do that. That's why we all use the platform, isn't it? To converse with one another and share opinions. And that's all they are, their opinions. And all because I come on a podcast and I share my opinions, it doesn't mean that my opinions are any better or any worse than any other Arsenal supporter. Doesn't mean that I'm right or better than anybody else. It's just that I enjoy coming on here to share my opinions with everybody in the chat box and, the three guys that are generally with us every week. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Hear, hear. Well said, my friend. Very well
said. I think
said.
an interesting thing to bring up, kind of almost in comparison, but not really, was when, I think it was 2 seasons ago in the preseason, all the players were caught on video. What is it? They were sucking up helium. I forget what it was called. But
laughing gas or whatever it was.
Yeah. A fizzy.
Glue sniffing. I don't know.
Yeah. But like Guendouzi was in there, and Guendouzi was young. He was young, and I think a lot of players were there. There was a good handful. So I think that's more of a big deal than this, to be honest. And that involved so many players. And you heard what? I mean, we didn't hear anything. Maybe they were punished within the club, but we didn't hear about it.
And
so
back on that, it should have been the senior players who took the younger players to that evening. They're the ones that should have been made an example of, because then the younger players see that and think, fuck me. If someone like Lacazette can pick up a heavy fine and be dressed down in front of everyone, then there's no hiding place.
Again,
you know who was great at that? what you just said, Stan, you know who was great at that? And this is me getting in the obligatory Tom Brady reference. Just saying. But Bill Belichick. Tom Brady was the first one when he was with the Patriots to get criticized from the head coach. So if that dude can get criticized, like you said, if that dude can get dressed down by the head coach in front of the entire team, who am I? I'm sorry. I had to get Brady's name in here somehow. You guys didn't really think I was going to let that go, did you? Sorry, Ryan. I interrupted you. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure, you look back, when we were 16, I'm sure we've said and did some pretty dumb shit.
Oh, listen here.
I don't know. I gotta be honest. I know Tony won't believe me, and probably none of my Arse Bros will believe me, but I didn't do that stuff. I kept all of my, I guess, understudies in the kitchen, which that's a whole nother story that I'm sure we'll get to. But I think, you have to think, this guy, easy, buddy, easy. I just think that, if you look at anybody's past when they were 16, we did some pretty crazy stuff. And, obviously he's on a bigger platform, and, he wants to be a role model. He wants to be the new starting, center back for Arsenal Football Club, which is a big deal. But again, I think it's something that needs to be talked about, probably within the club, maybe, if that, I don't know. But
even an Arsenal player when it happened.
Yeah.
What is it? Who gives a fuck?
The only reason why I care is because it obviously showed he had, again, and I guess I'm talking in circles a little bit and kind of being hypocrite to myself, but he obviously made a wrong decision. Obviously wasn't the right thing to do. He made a really bad, really bad decision. It kind of need to be like, okay, well, is he going to do that now? Is he going to have bad decisions now? Is he going to do something like that now?
On his camera now, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that's something that
I don't get it. He used his camera phone, man. He wasn't the one. Do you know what I mean? Doing it. So what the fuck? I mean,
even if he was, I think it's the same thing. But even if he was doing it, I think I would hold the same
player. If I was William Saliba and someone from Arsenal called me into the office and sat me down and started trying to talk to me and not discipline me or lecture me about something that I did when I was 16, 3 years ago, and I wasn't even an Arsenal player, I tell him to jog on, mate. I say, so what? You were fucking perfect then when you were 16. What, you weren't fucking, you never got caught fingering Karen behind the fucking bike sheds or drinking a fucking bottle of cider or having parties when your parents went away. Fucking stroll on, mate.
No, I agree.
If this was done in an Arsenal kit, then I get it a little bit. You can talk about, reputations and, representing the club and, just being a little bit more careful and making sure this happened fucking years ago. It's bullshit, man.
I completely agree. The only thing I'm saying is I'd want to prevent something like that from happening again, because if he can make a bad decision, he can take a worse decision. He could be doing something even worse. Again, I'm being very dramatic, but I'm trying to hammer away at my point.
Let me feel quite a lot between 16 and 19, and I'm not being funny, right? Listen, I joined the army at 15 and a half. Some of the things I was getting, if you think that William Saliba thing is bad, right? I shouldn't be on fucking social media. I should be cancelled. Because some of the things I did when I was 15 and 16, I'm telling you, mate, it's just part of growing up.
So let me give my take on what I think this is. So he was 16, 17 years old. And neither of you have seen the video, right?
No, I don't want to either.
Yeah. I've watched it a couple times.
Okay.
Only because I showed Megan, I showed my friend Greg, I think I showed my parents. They want to know how I was doing. I said, "Oh, you want to know how I'm doing it?" My mom texted me, "Oh, this is how I'm doing." I showed a picture. And
so when you at the very beginning of the video, basically he's there, he's holding his phone, he's kind of recording himself. He knows what's going on beside him. And Stan, to give you an idea, this dude is literally sitting like they're touching.
He's biting his bottom lip. He knows exactly what's going on.
Right. He knows what's going on, but you see,
are they in a changing room? Are they in a changing room?
It looks like they're in someone's living room.
Yeah, they're they're sitting on a couch, and Saliba's sitting on the couch where one leg is on the armrest, so he's at the end. There's the dude in question, and then there's somebody else on the other side, and that dude's he's kind of off camera. But all of a sudden, Saliba has this smirk on his face, he's laughing. Right? He's laughing about this, but then all of a sudden he kind of gets a serious look on his face. And he's like, Like he's trying to be real sly. So the look on his face completely changes to I need to be quiet. I need to be stealthy about this. And like I thought about the more I thought about this, I'm like, this dude took the video to embarrass this guy. This dude took the video to be able to go back at this dude and be like, yeah, but oh, by the way, remember when you did that? When we were all in the room together and all of a sudden there you are, butt naked, and you're just, chilling, doing this right beside me. So
how do we know as well, because of the age, how do we know that this wasn't some form of a bullying thing or some form of hazing like they do in colleges?
Could have been that. Could have been, I mean, I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know what the culture in France
just go
is.
to Pornhub, right, and look up hazing. You see what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Let me bring in AFC High here on a super chat. Thank you very much for the kind donation.
What's it called?
French football chiefs could turn it into a criminal investigation as some of them were under 18. That's
why I don't want to watch that video.
That is the bigger problem here.
The minors.
Because if that happens here in America, this is distribution of child pornography if he's under 17. And
exactly.
That's years in prison. It's a felony. That's a serious thing.
So Ryan's saying that he's watched it a few times, man. Your IP address has been pinged, mate.
Oh yeah.
I'm already on a few lists, so
yeah, we're at this point. I think we're all on a few lists.
Elephant walk, that's what it is. Again, that you know what that is. Yeah, you laughed. You know what that is, buddy. So there's a big and I've never done.
Don't explain what an elephant walk is. I'm not going to explain what it is. God.
But if people in the chat, if you know what an elephant walk is, it's a form of college hazing that is done. And now that Tanner said it and San said it, it makes me think differently about the situation because it could be hazing, it could be bullying, which is not okay, which kind of makes it even worse for Saliba. But my head changes like 5 million times, like it always does with this, because it's just. You need context. You need to know, like, again, was it hazing? Was it bullying?
Yeah.
Was he trying to make fun of his teammate? And then
could it have been like a blackmail thing? Like I'm going to take this video, and oh, by the way, guess what? I got proof that you sitting in a room full of dudes, jerking your wang, and there's video proof of it.
Why would you do that in the first place? That's why.
The man is butt ass naked. It's not like it's.
I don't understand. I mean, the thing for me is I don't understand. First of all, I don't understand how any of these dudes are sitting in the set. I didn't think about the hazing thing. I really didn't think about the hazing thing. But boy, now that you say that, Stan, that makes a lot of sense because, I mean, what else could it be?
Right?
Like,
they
who
do
does
weird
that?
Shit in hazing, don't they? Really weird shit. And it's and the people that are getting hazed, why are they doing it? Because they're doing it because it's their route into the acceptance, right? If it's in a university,
it's your rite of passage.
It's to get into the right fraternity, right? You want to get into the Gamma Delta Tackers. You got to go and suck off the caretaker or some shit. I don't know, but they do all this weird stuff. Do you know what I mean? You've seen that film when they're bent over. What is it? Is it Animal House? And they're like hitting them with the paddle.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yeah, thank you, sir. May I have another? Smack. Thank you, sir. May I have... They do all this weird shit in America.
Stan, you want to answer Jack there real quick?
AKA the elephant walk. That's some weird shit.
Stan, you want to answer that? You want to answer Jack's comment here real quick?
No, that's me, right? Yeah.
Can't we answer it and say, yeah, it's him?
I do the
watch-alongs. Stan, do you want that's directed at Stan? I'm not answering it for him.
Yeah, I do the watch-alongs with Terry. We do the watch-alongs for the boxing and the UFC. Me and Terry always hook up and do those. They're quite fun.
I
think it's all about context. When you look at it, now that we brought this whole hazing, now I'm curious. Not that curious, but curious to see.
If anything, I think the person that needs to be spoken to and asked questions is the wanker in all of this. What was going on.
I wonder what happens to him.
What was going on? What was you being bullied or blah blah blah? Or was this some people do really weird dares for a laugh. Do you know what I mean? And it's some really strange shit because they don't give a fuck. I know people that do some really outlandish shit just to shock. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
I know, because I've done some outlandish
you'll
shit
be at
for
a
a shot.
party somewhere around someone's house, and then like you've been there for like 3 or 4 hours, and then one of you, this particular person will just walk in the room, start bollock naked with a cardboard box in his head, and shout out a funny catchphrase, and they just do it because they're just mental.
Okay. I'll tell a quick story. Hopefully everybody gets a good laugh out of it at my expense. That's all right. I'll take it. I did it to be funny. So years ago, I'm bartending in an area of Pittsburgh called Southside, and a friend of mine and I, a girl that we worked with, she was not working at the time, but it was Fat Tuesday. And so beads, Mardi Gras beads, and you know what girls do for beads and everything. And a girl that we were working with actually made us bras out of beads. So we quick locked the bar door, gave everybody a fresh round, locked the bar door. She was sitting in the bar. We ran like 3 or 4 doors up to to another bar that was having a bead competition to see who had the most beads. And we ran in with no shirt on, mind you, and these like bra beads or bead bras that we had on. And we got up on top of their bar to see if we could win the contest.
Did you win?
Fuck no, we didn't win.
Oh,
my man boobs weren't big enough back then for me to win.
Yeah, that's just a bit of fun, right? Don't mean you're a tranny or anything. It's just but I mean,
let me get C Law's super chat in here. Bruce Rioch, Terry Neal all had better records in the Prem over Arteta. Yet we are all willing to give him another season to fail. No, get him gone. Sorry, C Law. I'm wholeheartedly with Stan on this one. Don't need a revolving door of managers.
Yeah. Is CLO AFC talking about the contract that I've heard that's been offered to Mikel Arteta, a contract renewal? Is that what he's probably meaning, right?
I think he's just saying get rid of him now. I think he's
Bruce Rioch, Terry Neal all had better records and that, but we're giving apparently there's news that there's a contract extension being offered to Mikel Arteta.
I've not heard that, so I'll take your word for it.
The last couple of days.
Yeah, you're a reliable source for sure.
I'm of an opinion that how long did he originally get a contract for? What was his original contract? 3 years, and how long is he into it?
2.5.
He's already
2.5, 3 years.
And how long has he been in charge?
2.5. He got 2.5 years because it was the end of last season plus 2, so we're a year and a half in.
So I don't know why can't now. I think that could wait till the summer. Why do it now? Do you know what I mean? Why now? I don't get that. I would be thinking that the best time to maybe could consider giving him an extension would be after the summer, after a pre-season, when he spent some money, put a team together, and then they've had a chance to play for a bit. Then you see to yourself, is this guy what we're looking for? Has he put together the right team? He's got rid of all the dead wood. He's brought in the players that he wants. Is it working? Is it now taking shape? And I think that would be probably the best time to decide whether you extend or you think, let's get rid now.
Yeah, it just for me, I'm with you. I don't need the revolving door of managers. It's that simple. And quite frankly, this conversation with Arteta in, Arteta out, like I'm over this conversation at this point. I really am. Yeah. I'm really just sick of hearing it.
The only thing I will say though, because it just happened, like the whole Odegaard thing. Odegaard came to us because of Arteta. Arteta called him on the phone, spoke to him, and I agree with Stan. Stan says it. Odegaard is a talent. He's going to be good. And he said in an interview the reason why he came was Arteta, spoke to him.
Was it more like, he'd already been on loan, hadn't he, at was it
Real Sociedad?
Sociedad.
And Real Madrid are like, well, we don't really want you to go there because they're now competition of ours. And was, Martin Odegaard playing the game and saying everything that a player coming in on loan should be saying.
I mean, maybe, but I think you got to take it at face value. And a lot of these players have complimented Arteta and have said good things about him. But then you have to, again, look on the other side of the coin. It's the same players that Arteta is playing, like the Williams, like the David Luiz's. Who, David Luiz has a man of the match in him, but he's too old to be playing week in and week out for us. And
he also has a straight red card in him, too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that Again, I don't want to have this conversation either because it is kind of boring. I just brought up the Odegaard thing because, again, I guess it's a feather in Arteta's cap, and nobody probably other than Gary knows better than anybody, my Arteta situation, how I'm not sure how I feel about it. But I think it's just something that you need to take day by day, and we don't have the players to complete for the league. I mean, people need to realize that, and we're getting better. Our tactics are getting really good, and we're having younger players, come into form. I just think if Arteta can convince a few other players, to join the cause, I think we'll be in a good spot, and that's just time. And again, and it's funny because I have this, I do believe that, but then in the back of my head, I always have I see Willian's head just circling around my head. Arteta wanted me. Arteta fought tooth and nail to sign me, and it's like, yeah, he did, and that turned out to be one of our worst signings in history. To be honest,
it is now. But were any of us really? I was upset with the length of the contract. I didn't like the 3 years because we have this is now at least 2 players off the top of my head that will have zero resale value when their contracts are up. They're not going to get an extension, and they're going to walk away for nothing. And that's Aubameyang and it's Willian. But in the summer when we got him, when we were rumored to be going after him, I'm like, it's not the worst signing in the world. I don't think. I mean,
he was Chelsea's best player. Like, it's not.
That's what I mean. He was Chelsea's player of the year last year.
I cried in my cornflakes. I was like, oh, not another one.
I mean, I thought
another one. You know what I mean? I'm like, and then you heard all the stories about Luis on the phone to Oscar and that. You're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
like,
that really threw me off.
Retirement home. You know what I mean?
But again, I've said this on our podcast multiple times, and I said if I said to you guys, hey, we're gonna sign a player over the summer. He's a little older. He's in his early 30s. He was the best. He was one of the best players on the team, and it's a top 6. He's from a big 6 club.
It's not like he was the best player on a relegated team.
You're going to say, yeah, let's sign him. But again, and I completely agree with you, Stan, it's coming from Chelsea. We're known to sign all of their rejects and all of their deadwood and oldwood. But again, he wasn't at the time, So
why didn't they keep him? They know everything that he's about. It would have been just as easier for them to accommodate him.
Money. He wanted a 3rd year.
Well, he wanted the third year. They wouldn't give it to him. And I don't think
not only give him that 3rd year, we gave him a £10 million signing on fee so that we could hide how much we really paid him a week. Because the thing that annoyed me with the Willian thing, to try and justify it, right? 2 things. First of all, they were saying like, well, he's oven ready. The guy's going to hit the ground running. He's oven ready. He's from London. He's playing the same teams. He's going to come in and make a difference straight away. And then the other thing that they said, which they lied to us about, was, and we're going to be paying him less than his weekly salary at Chelsea as well. So, and then we find out he's getting a 10 million sign on fee, which takes his wages up to 220 bags a week. And then when he starts playing shit, the same person, Edu, he said he was oven ready and would slot him straight away. About a month, 2 months later, he was going, you thought he would settle in straight away.
Yeah, that didn't look
I don't know why I'm doing a French accent, but
you still got the Saliba situation on your mind, which is fair.
He told us he was having ready. Then when he was like dog shit, they said, well, he's got to settle. He's walked across one side of London to the other, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? What is there to settle?
It's tough too because, like I said, the things I gave, one of the best players on a top team, just coming over to us. You think like, okay, like. It could have worked out really good for us. It could, he could have been, like you said, oven ready. He should have been. He's Premier League proven. He's done X, Y, and Z. I was never a big fan of him to begin with. I didn't really like the way he played. But again, if you look at the piece of paper that gets put in front of you, he's coming from a top club, one of the best players, blah blah blah. Okay, good. But then you look, you go, but then I look at it, did I really think it was going to be this bad? Did I really think
not this bad? No.
No, I didn't. I was thinking maybe somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's going to be our best player. I thought maybe he'd be like a role player, kind of like what Arteta kind of envisions him to do and what he's kind of made to do, and is to be organized, be structured. Maybe dribble past the fullback and cross one in. But yeah, something's not working for him. And we can talk to. I think that I'm more tired of talking about Arteta in and Arteta out than this situation because I feel like I've talked about this more than Arteta, but. something's got to give, and I do. If a team takes him, I don't think he's going to be here much longer.
I am surprised. I mean, everything that I'm saying about Willian now, my disdain for him. I never wanted him in the first place, but I didn't think I would be complaining about him for I thought it'd be at least maybe 15 months or something out of that 4 years.
I agree.
Like the last year and a half, that's when I'd be going, it's fucking hell, it's Ozil 2.0. Well, fucking hell, he's only been at the club like half a season and I'm doing it already. It's that bad. I'm like, wow.
I'll be honest with you. I think, honestly, it's down to Arteta's tactics. I just don't think he fits the system.
And then there's that story that's floating around that I heard from a while back, and I know Brownie's heard it, I know Tony's heard it, and that's that in not only we're paying him 220 bags a week, there's also that clause is that he has a clause in his contract which says that he has to play X amount of games. And as I say, if that is in there, and I believe that to be true. It's not because it's like, I want to play. I want to kick a ball X amount of times. I want to be on the... It's about appearance fees. It's all about money. It's always about the money, right? So you got the salary, you got the signing on fee, you got all these little things worked into the contract to make sure that his nest is well and truly feathered.
Yeah.
And I just feel like Mikel Arteta has just laid over a barrel and pulled his pants down and said, carry on. And maybe part of it is that when you have a guy that's never managed before, things like this are going to happen. Some of the results that we've had, some of the substitutions. I remember when he first took over, we're chasing the game and he finishes the game with subs on the bench. I mean, why would you do that? You're chasing the game. You don't finish money with change in your pocket. And I just thought to myself, well, we've signed up for this. We know that this guy's had no experience. So he's learning on the job, right? And it's like if you've never driven a car before, you might get the odd prang, the odd scrape, the paintwork. It's going to happen.
That's a fantastic comparison, because the only way to get experience driving a car is to drive the bloody car. Like you can't pretend sitting at home with a steering wheel.
Here's the thing, though, right? He's taking his driving lessons in a fucking Rolls Royce instead of having a little Fiat down in the championship.
Yeah.
We've given him like a Lamborghini almost and said, here you go, start driving on that, instead of starting him off in like something a bit smaller. So, we have to put up, I think, with some of these mistakes. And maybe Willian is going to be a really painful lesson for Mikel Arteta moving forward.
And you know what?
A really expensive one as well.
And you know what? You need that, because a person's true character is shown when they face adversity, right? There's a saying to something of that effect. But if it's all coming up roses for Arteta, what eventually the penny's going to drop. How does he react to that? I'd rather get it out of the way with now than him settle in for 5 years. Everything's great. We're top 4, top 6. We're not winning any trophies, but we're competing. It looks good. All the players are playing, and they're playing relatively well. But then one thing goes wrong, and it all unravels. He's learning on the job. It is what it is. We're not, as supporters, going to get rid of him, even if we want to. He's not going anywhere because we say Arteta out, just as much as he's not going to stay if we say Arteta in. It's up to ownership, So it just, I'm sick of the argument. But at the end of the day, Ryan, I am going to somewhat agree with something that you said a while back when we were going through the really bad stretch. You thought, at least at the time, that the project was Arteta. I don't know if you want to circle back around to that or not, but my take on that statement is, like Stan said, you don't want to go like Chelsea with this just revolving door. And we've all seen, the memes and the GIFs on social media of Thomas Tuchel looking for the door in 5 months. That's like, if you're not top of the league, you're not going to be here. Well, winning the league every single year is unrealistic. I don't care who you are. Look at the best teams in Europe. Juventus, they've been the class of Italy for how long? They're not winning Serie A. PSG is probably the exception to that rule, the only exception to that rule.
Because no one's good.
In Europe. Well, that's the thing. I mean, they just have they have 50 times the money that any other club in France have.
I'm pretty sure they're actually not even in first. I think Lille's in first.
Can I just say something? And it's just I saw a couple of comments in the chat box as well. I want to have it right as well. I know that Raul was at the club when Willian was signed, but as I can gather,
I saw that. Yeah,
Willian was a big Arteta. Arteta was all over that. It was Arteta that made waves to bring Willian in. You know, as far as Arteta believed it was a really good deal, and it was exactly what we needed. So, whether you know the story or not, I don't want it to. I love that name, Insurance Basket. One day I want him to tell us how he came up with it. What does it mean? It's such a great name. But thanks for joining us as well. But I mean, yeah, this was an Arteta signing, as far as I understand it. So, I hope he learns from it. It's an expensive lesson. But if he goes out and does the same shit again, then it's like, well, it's only an idiot that keeps doing the same thing over and over again, that, stupid thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Stupid idiot.
It's something I wanted to touch upon because you're talking about Willian real quick. It's kind of also talking about it and talking about the transfer window. Something that I was upset about. I'm not sure if I brought it up last week. Was I really wanted Reece Nelson to go out on loan. And I think he's somebody that's better than Willian. I think he should be playing instead of Willian. And again, the U23s are not even close to our level. The Premier League, it's not. Reece Nelson played out of his skin. I watched him play for the U23s. He had a really nice free kick goal. He's good. He's a good player. And I think he could offer something to this team. I'm not saying he's a world beater. Why is he playing for us? Sign him up, but I'm really surprised Nelson's not getting a look in, and I'm really surprised Nelson's not someone that we can look at, instead of Willian. And you know what? Maybe you're right, Stan. Maybe he has that clause where he has to play, and Reece is never going to see even the subs, even the bench for that matter. But it's just some very interesting decisions, and they could be contractual, but something has to change, and I think we did really good stuff in the transfer window. Getting rid of a lot of dead wood, but there's still just a couple. We just need to, tighten the shoelaces. That's all.
Great comment by Ray. I'm with Arteta. The entire club is learning, but we need to evaluate next January. Ole was Arteta 12 months ago. He's not wrong. And as much as all the United fans don't think that Ole is the man for them, I mean, their position in the table doesn't lie. We may say, they're shit, they stink, blah, 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 but somehow or other, through everything that we say, that we throw at them, they stink, they're garbage, they're this, that, and the other thing. You know what else they are? Second in the table. That's the other thing that they are. So, let me go back up here, Stan, real quick. Go ahead. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Go ahead with your thought. I want to come back to this.
I agree with what Ryan said as well. And I never understood, Brian Willian, I think, has impeded a couple of people at Arsenal. It's definitely got in the way of Reece Nelson. And no matter before us buying Willian, what I may have thought about Reece Nelson, I would rather see us persevering with someone like him right now from the academy and having a conversation today about, is Reece Nelson good for Arsenal or not? Is he ready? And us having a debate about that. They're not having the conversation because he's being kept out of the squad by someone like Willian, who also as well is kind of initially was getting in the way of Nicola Pepe. I'm not saying that Nicola Pepe deserves a starting place every week, but when you bring in someone like Willian, it's just getting in the way, right? It's just another distraction because we've got this £72 million player that we want to see more of. We want to know if the investment that was made in him is warranted. So I never quite understand the Willian thing. And they tried to also tell us that he was going to be played where Emil Smith-Rowe's being played. It's never happened, has it? A couple of times, couple of fleeting appearances. He seems to be deployed as a winger. So I just don't get it.
So AFC High, thank you again for the donation. How many good to bad signings has Arteta made? Willian, bad signing.
Dreadful.
But I would say overall, I think
Jonathan.
Yeah,
Terrible.
that's a bad one.
I mean, I see what they're. Yeah,
Gabriel Magalhaes, good.
Good.
I think that's going to come. I think this is a bad spell for him. I think he turns it around again, finds that early
he's only
season
22,
form.
right? The guy's had like 3 or 4
Right.
man of the match games when he played for us, and he's having a bit of a bum spell. Pablo Mari, I wasn't sure about him initially because we just hadn't seen enough of him.
Yep.
But he looks pretty, he looks pretty capable.
Martin Odegaard, I think we're all pretty excited about what Martin Odegaard's going to bring. I mean, short term, we really hope he's here long term.
Thomas Partey,
there you go.
He's had a stop on a stumble with his injuries.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I mean, if that turns out to be a dud, let's say for whatever reason it turns out to be a dud, you can't blame Arteta on that because when he was purchased, the reputation was high, the stats were high, 50 million as well. We got in there for the release clause and just done the business. So I really think that's another one that's going to pay dividends at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cedric's looked good, hasn't he? Another one like Pablo Mari that we didn't see enough of. He came to us injured. We were questioning it. We kind of didn't understand why we got this guy from Southampton. All right, he soft goal the other day, but I mean, you got to remember his debut for us. He cracked one in on his debut, right? He smacked one in on his debut, and he's looked pretty capable. So,
I think Matt Ryan. Shout out Mike from the Gooners pod. Yeah, Matt Ryan. There's another one.
He looked good. I liked what I saw the other day. He didn't look out of place at all.
Not at all.
My man of the match for Villa.
Yeah.
Man of the match. And then we've got the youngsters, right? You can consider, ESR is getting in there now.
There are a lot of players that are down in the U23s that we brought in to replace players we sent out on loan. But there are some players down there that he brought in that the club themselves are high on. So we'll see how some of those pan out.
One thing I would criticize him for, and that is his persistence with the pet project that seems to be Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah,
and it's just from the standpoint. I think I know what Eddie Nketiah is about now. From what I've seen, I think I've seen enough minutes to know what he can do and what his limitations are, and I don't understand why Balogun hasn't been given more minutes. At least if you give Balogun some more minutes and then he turns around and snubs us and walks off to another club, at least we can turn around and say, well, we tried to ease him in. We tried to give him more minutes. I mean, we're going to sit down with him and talk to him about an improved contract, but he didn't want to listen. But if he does swans off now, I'm of the opinion that maybe we could have done a little bit more to entertain him. And I'm not saying that we throw 100 grand a week at him because that would be ludicrous.
Yeah.
But I just mean there were games, for example, where it was like a dead rubber in the Europa League, a dead rubber game. Nothing to win, nothing to gain. We're going to finish the top of the group. Why give Eddie minutes? Just give Balogun minutes there. Just say to Eddie, look, you've had a lot of minutes, lad. You're on the bench. I'm not saying that you won't feature in this game, but let's give Florin some minutes. And what you're looking from Eddie is to sort of be a team player there and say, yeah, I get it. Thanks for letting me know, boss,
Yeah. I think something else we need to keep in mind with Mikel Arteta too is he comes in mid-season, first of all. Let's not forget he was hired towards the end of December, managed his first game I think he managed his first game like New Year's Day or the 2nd of January, because I feel like the Boxing Day match last year when he and Carlo Ancelotti had both been named manager of the respective clubs, I think that was Boxing Day. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's Boxing Day. I know they were both in the stadium, but so he comes in mid-season. He has a transfer window where he's not really the man here. You still have Raul Sanllehi, who is really calling the shots. So he's got to get through that. But then, oh, by the way, the pandemic hits and everything gets shut down. So 3 months into his 10 years Arsenal head coach, all of a sudden play is halted.
And he caught this thing as well.
Yeah. So we come back to a restart where we have 10 matches left to play, 10 league matches left to play. And he's still trying to work with what he has, figure this out. I hate to say it. Okay, first home game was Chelsea on the 29th. Okay, we lost that. Chelsea scored late on to nick that one from us. But and even last summer, you can't even really say that last summer's transfer window was an opportunity, because with the pandemic and the finances and everything else, you know, he has been dealt an almost impossible card with the situation in the world. Couple that with the expectations and entitlement of this fan base. He's like a dead man walking every day, talking, you know, when you listen to some Arsenal fans talk about this. So this summer coming up, and again, you have to take into consider the financial aspect of it, because I don't think fans are going to be allowed back in the stadiums. So, and you know that our ownership is not going to open their wallets the way that Abramovich does at Chelsea, the way that whatever country Manchester City's owners own, you know, that's just not going to happen. So it's smart investing. One thing, I think it was Raul that said this in an interview that he and Vin I did with Laura Woods back here a couple of years ago, outsmarting the transfer market.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's not wrong there. You have to be smart, not outsmart it, but you have to be smart about how you spend your money.
I think with Raul, what we realised is when Raul was saying like outsmart in the transfer market, he was talking about like, you know, putting a little bit in your back pocket.
Right, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Line in his wallet.
Right?
Yep. So at the end of the day, you got to look at the hand that Mikel Arteta has been dealt in his year and a half in charge of this football club. And overall, with the players that we've had, that we just got out a month ago, Mustafi, Kolasinac, he who shall not be named. These players were either just sucking the club dry. Boy, of all the things of all the ways I could have put that tonight, considering the William Saliba video. Anyway, bleeding the club dry, money-wise, not getting it done on the pitch if they are playing. We finally got those players out. Now this coming summer, there's going to be some money to work with. Let's see what he does this summer. Maybe the Cronkies open up their wallet and say, okay, now that we've kind of sorted the wage bill, now we can start reinvesting some of that money in a transfer kit. Just a thought. So, I don't know, fellas, we're at an hour and 37 here. Rahul just put up a super chat. I'll bring that in real quick. With no Europe, can we attract the best players?
Is he taking that money from out of underneath the mattress?
Yeah, right. Yeah. With no Europe, can we attract the best players? I mean,
no.
I disagree. I think we've already. First of all, when we say the best players, are we talking the Kylian Mbappes of the world, the Neymars of the world? No, we weren't attracting them to begin with. But Thomas Partey, I'd say he's pretty damn good.
Yeah, but we're still in the Europa League with a promise, right? You know, it's within we still, you know, when we got him, we had European competition, and there's promise that if we do things right, we can get up to the bigger table. But if we finish this season with no European competition next season, then I really do feel that it would be ironic, wouldn't it, that we finish with no European competition. The Cronkies give us a war chest, if you will, or some funds. But then now that players that we would have gone after, they're looking at other teams because there's European competition. And I think that European competition does go a long way to attracting players.
I think it does too. But I think you have to look at the players that we brought in, Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard, granted on loan till the end of this season, but he came here. Could have gone elsewhere.
We've got a European competition now, though, haven't we?
Right.
You know, that's what I'm saying. We've got it now. If we don't have it next, if we don't qualify, then who are we going to bring in the summer? We're bringing in like Todd Cantwell from Norwich or somewhere, aren't I?
You know, a lot of people wanted Todd Cantwell.
Don't get me wrong. I like him, but that might be the area where we have to shop. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes, you know, we've had this conversation before too. Sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing. Because sometimes you know what, you look at a player like a Todd Cantwell, not the biggest fan in the world, but a guy like Todd Cantwell coming to Arsenal may say, it's time to put my big boy shoes on and go to work because I'm playing for a big club now and I want to go prove to the world that I belong here.
Maybe someone like Rob Holding.
He was playing for his childhood club.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe a Zaha as well, you know, again, his childhood club.
I would still take Wilfred Zaha at this club in a heartbeat. I'll start a GoFundMe to fund the transfer for him if I have to. So
maybe
I'll stick a quid in.
What's yeah, right? I mean, come on.
Quid, right?
I got a $5 on it. So all right, we're gonna get out of here, guys. Ryan, I'm gonna give you your final thought here, your last word. Go ahead.
I know I've said this a million times, and I don't think we're a good team. I think we're getting better. I think we're starting to give flashes of brilliance, and we're starting to slowly turn the corner. And I think, our team at 100% and at full capacity, I think we can make Europa. I think we can win Europa. It's just kind of like taking that next step. And I don't want that. But anyway, I wouldn't do that. I think Pep's a better player and he's younger. But anyways, I just think we need to see what the cards hold for us, because I do think we can get there. And I think we could still, for the next year or so, attract good enough players to get us in Champions League. If Arteta is being all political and giving the speech and doing all that, and I guess campaigning, as you could say, to get these players to come to our club, I think we could slowly, do good things. And let's also not, let's not forget we have a really good academy and we have really good young talent. And I know you guys don't watch the U23s as much as I do, but I do think we have some guys in there that could definitely help us out, and not a lot of teams can say that, not a lot of teams can do that really. So I think it's a time situation. But yeah, it was a great pod. Thank you to you guys. Thanks to everybody in the chat. It was a good time. Check out Arse Bros. I'm going to be on the show on Friday. I'm doing Mike's pod, the Friday Arse show, where we're going to preview the game against Leeds. So it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a lot of kitchen talk too. So get your spatulas ready.
Oh,
thanks, Mike.
Should we whip up the butter for you too, there, cowboy?
You may see a Saliba showing or two. Who knows? We'll see.
You really just killed viewership for that show.
No, everyone's gonna tune in. Stop.
I know Stan ain't watching.
It's like a car crash. You gotta watch.
No.
Stan, go ahead. Final word.
Just want to shout out a few people in the chat room. We put out some very good content in case people that are watching didn't know. Obviously, if you're not listening to Mike and the Gooners podcast, you've obviously been living in a fucking cave if you've not subscribed to that channel. But also Adam's channel, Football with Brownie. Go and check him out. Some good stuff. He's got some good knowledge of football. He's a Cardiff supporter, but we all know that he's a closet Arsenal supporter because he's always in the Arsenal chat, right?
He's always all the time.
He has a lot of good content. He knows a lot of good stuff from the 80s and the 90s, and it's all from different teams. Also, you've got Mike Hertz, Not Another Arsenal podcast.
Woo!
Go and check him out.
That's a fun
also,
one.
You've got FIFA boy Darren in there. Check out his channel as well. I think he's got a really interesting interview coming up with Lee Dixon. That's worth checking out. And also our moderator, Gary, Don't Waste a Tweet. He started doing his post-match reviews. Definitely worth checking out on YouTube. So a little bit more content, some Arsenal content for everyone to go and check out. And as always, thank you to everyone for coming by this week and listening to three old men just like chat bollocks about Arsenal. Thank you.
Here. I'll second everything.
Well, two old men and a young lad, I should say.
Oh, thanks, Stan.
Yeah,
I feel
I'm
young.
not young.
Now that I gave myself a haircut, I do feel younger. Thanks for that, buddy.
Yeah, sure. The haircut was by choice.
Yeah. Is it bad luck to be superstitious?
What's the punchline? No,
there is no punchline. Seriously, is it bad luck to be superstitious? I don't know. So along Stan's line was shouting out the other podcast.
Oh, and also Arsenal Fan Circle, of course. I forgot Fan Circle. Thursdays and Sundays.
Everybody watch each other's shit. It's awesome. Do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little self promotion here, my own for those watching on Same Old Arsenal's channel. Please, if you're not already, would you jump over to my channel, BG Media? I've kind of rebranded things a little bit. Getting everything up and running with that. We're working on graphics for a few more shows on my platform over on YouTube. I would really appreciate it if we could start on the road to 1,000. I just hit 500 subscribers today. Thank you to everyone for that. And that is all we got for you. We're going to get out of here. We'll be back same Arsenal time, same Arsenal station next week. Good talk tonight, fellas. Good footy talk. We'll see you out there.